We've all seen it. Foods labeled as being sugar-free or naturally sweetened, like that automatically makes them healthy. But here's the thing. Not all sweeteners are created equal. And in some cases, the one you think is a better choice could actually be the one that's messing with your blood sugar, your gut health, and even your cravings. And this isn't just about artificial versus natural. The real story is way more complicated than that. Some sweeteners that are marketed as natural can actually spike your blood sugar. And some artificial ones aren't as harmless as you might have been told. Today I'm going to break down the real differences and cut through the marketing hype and show you which sweeteners can actually work for your health instead of against it, if you still want a little bit of sweetness in your life. And I promise by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what to look for when you're scanning nutrition labels. I'm Kait, a nutritionist who has spent years helping people to balance their blood sugar, reverse insulin resistance, and eat in a way that supports long-term health without feeling deprived or relying on quick fixes. Now, sweeteners aren't just about taste. They can have real, measurable effects on your body. The type of sweetener you choose can impact your blood sugar and insulin response, your gut health, your cravings, and even your long-term risk for things like insulin resistance. The problem is that most people see sugar-free or naturally sweetened on a nutrition label and automatically think it's healthy. But that's not always true. Some natural sweeteners, like honey or coconut sugar, can still spike your blood sugar like regular sugar. And some artificial sweeteners, even though they technically don't raise blood sugar, can change your gut bacteria in ways that may actually make it harder to keep cravings in check and maintain healthy blood sugar over time. And this is important because sweeteners are in almost everything. Protein powders, snack bars, drinks, even salad dressings. And if you're trying to lose weight, manage your cravings, reverse insulin resistance, stabilize your blood sugar, improve your gut health, knowing which ones are actually a good fit for you is huge. Because you don't have to entirely cut sweetness out of your diet in order to be healthy. The goal is to understand how different sweeteners work, so you can pick the ones that fit your body, fit your goals, and work for you. Now, before we compare them, let's make sure we're talking about the same thing. Artificial sweeteners are man-made chemicals designed to taste sweet without adding sugar or calories. Think sucralose and aspartame. They're incredibly sweet, sometimes even 100 times sweeter than regular sugar. So you only need a very tiny amount. Natural sweeteners come from plants or natural sources. This could mean stevia from a leaf, monk fruit from a melon-like fruit, or allulose, which is found naturally in foods like figs and maple syrup. Even honey and coconut sugar are technically considered to be natural sweeteners, though they act differently in your body. And here's the thing, just because something is labeled natural doesn't automatically mean it's good for you. And just because something is labeled artificial doesn't automatically mean it's not. These effects really depend on the specific sweetener and how your body responds. Now here's where things get interesting and a little controversial. Most artificial sweeteners don't raise blood sugar directly. And that's why they're so popular in diabetic-friendly products. But there's mixed evidence for some of them out there. Certain ones might trigger an insulin response in certain people, even without raising blood sugar. This can happen because the sweet taste itself tells your body that sugar is coming, so your pancreas releases insulin in anticipation. But the research isn't clear-cut. Some studies show these sweeteners do raise insulin, and some studies show they don't. And here's another wrinkle. You can raise insulin without raising blood sugar at all. Protein is an example of this. Certain amino acids stimulate insulin release, especially when eaten with carbohydrates. So your blood sugar might look steady, but your insulin could be bumped up. Now, this isn't a reason to fear protein. I did a video last month talking about why protein raises insulin, whether or not this is something you should be concerned about. So I will link that video up above if you want to know more. Again, this doesn't mean it's bad in every context, but it's still a reminder that looking at blood sugar alone isn't the full story. And on the natural side, you've got sweeteners like honey, maple syrup, and coconut sugar that absolutely raise both blood sugar and insulin. And then there's ones like stevia, monk fruit, and allulose, which have almost no impact on either. And this is why knowing the difference matters. Now, one of my personal favorites in the natural but doesn't spike either category is allulose. Allulose is a rare sugar that occurs naturally in foods like figs and maple syrup. But here's the cool part. Your body doesn't metabolize it in the same way as regular sugar. It's about 90 to 95% fewer calories, and studies show it has almost no effect on blood sugar or insulin. Now, the one I personally use is Sparkle Wellness's organic allulose. It's clean, organic, and tastes just like regular sugar, with no weird aftertaste. I use it in my coffee, in baking as a sugar substitute, and even in homemade dressings. It behaves almost exactly the same way as sugar in recipes, so it's an excellent substitute. For anyone tracking their blood glucose or insulin, this is a game changer. It lets you keep that sweet taste while avoiding the spikes. If you want to try it out, you can head to healthcoachkait.com/allulose and use my code KAIT20 to save 20% off your order. It's available only in the US. Okay, so let's quickly break down the pros and the cons of each so you can see them at a glance. For artificial sweeteners, the pros are it is usually calorie-free and it has minimal impact on blood sugar for most people. The cons are there's mixed evidence on whether some can trigger an insulin response. Certain ones may disrupt gut bacteria in ways that we don't want, and it can keep your sweet tooth alive, making it harder to reduce cravings. As for natural sweeteners, they are often less processed. Some of them, like allulose and stevia, have little to no effect on blood sugar, and they can be better tolerated by the gut. The cons are that some, like honey or coconut sugar, still spike blood sugar, and that these can be pricier, especially the organic version. So how do you pick? The first step is to get clear on your main goal. If you're focused on blood sugar stability, you'll want to stick with options that have little to no impact, like allulose, stevia, or monk fruit. If gut health is your priority, you may want to experiment to see how different ones make you feel, since we all react differently. And if you love baking and cooking, factor in taste and texture. Some sweeteners work great in recipes, while others not so much. Allulose is one of the few that caramelizes and browns like sugar, which is why it's a popular choice for baking and other recipes. And if you can, test your response. Using something like a blood glucose meter or a continuous glucose monitor can help you to do this. Sometimes this data will surprise you. Now for my personal recommendations, honestly, allulose is my go-to for the reasons I've spoke about in today's video. I personally avoid sucralose and aspartame because of the mixed gut health research and the possibility of it affecting insulin in some people. And I treat honey and maple syrup like what they are, sugar, which is fine in small amounts. I don't avoid sugar entirely. It does have a place, but something I don't use daily if I'm focused on blood sugar control. The bottom line is that the words natural and artificial don't tell the whole story. You need to look at how each sweetener affects blood sugar, insulin, gut health, and cravings. Now, I want to hear from you guys. What sweetener do you use most often? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm really curious to hear. Have you tried my personal favorite allulose? If you haven't already and you do want to try it and you're in the US, make sure to check out Sparkle Wellness. I'll put that link in the description box down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.